Hey guys, freedom fighters. It's Kristen. Happy Tuesday. I'm gonna give everyone a second to hop on. Hey, when you hop on, go ahead and say hello to bump the video up. Good evening. Happy Tuesday. When you hop on, say hello. It'll bump the video up so more people will join. I've got some serious stuff to talk about. Hey Karen, hey Michael. Hey Ed. Hi Monica. You guys are awesome. All right, I'll get started. I don't want to waste everyone's time. Time is money. So, hey Jonathan. Hey Jennifer. All right. So I need your input, okay? So let me just give some background. When I first started this journey, it was more or less, let's get some people together. We'll contact our governor, we'll contact our elected officials, we'll make our voices heard. Never in a million years did I think that people were going to depend on me to lead them. Never in a million years did I think that people would lean on me in this movement. Okay? Was not prepared for it. Okay? So, I'm not... So people have messaged me saying, start a GoFundMe. We will throw money towards this cause. And I'm the kind of person, I'm like, no, keep your money. I don't know what I'm going to do with your money, right? So I have been trying to get this lawsuit going with small business owners, basically throwing what they can towards this cause, towards this lawsuit. I feel like I'm hitting a dead end with that. I feel like the small businesses are already tapped out. They're really only able to contribute maybe $1,000, and I need it to be at a certain price point for this law firm to take it. I'm really confident in this law firm. If I wasn't, I would not be moving forward. So this is heartbreaking to see that this isn't coming together. And as much as I don't want to collect donations, I need to get out of my own way and make it happen. In order to do that, it's not going to be like just a GoFundMe in my name. I want to do this legitimate, create a nonprofit, tax exempt, so donations can be tax exempt. But I want your input, okay? I want your input. I need to know if you feel like this is a good idea, okay? I spoke with an attorney today, and he went through the whole process with me and made me feel really comfortable about it. But I want to know, it wouldn't be a trust fund. It would be, I would form a nonprofit corporation. So North Carolina United for Liberty would be considered a nonprofit corporation. And then, so you would have a president, a vice president, a secretary, treasurer. There would be bylaws and filings with the state and receipts and all that stuff. So it would be official, because the whole creating a GoFundMe thing makes me feel very uncomfortable. I don't want to do that. So I would do this. This is a huge leap for me because this would be in my name. It's a responsibility. It's a nonprofit. It's a company, But I would do it if I feel like this is the right thing to do. So that's where I'm asking you all to come in and give me some kind of input. The whole GoFundMe thing is off the table. I'm not creating a GoFundMe that has like no regulation or anything. I need to do things like legally by the books, etc. That's just the kind of person I am. I'm not going to be irresponsible with your donations like that or anything. So if I were to collect donations, it would be forming a nonprofit, a 501c4, and which would be a social, it is considered a social welfare organization. And then donations would be tax exempt. Donations then could go towards this lawsuit, and this is going to be, my vision is long term, so we could focus on other goals that align with our mission as it goes forward. So I guess I just need some kind of validation that this is what we should do. I feel like having businesses fund their own litigation is a lot to ask of them when they're already drowning. So, and I've tried that route and it's not working, unfortunately. So, nonprofit corporation, yes, if you do it that way, I'd be comfortable. Yeah, same. GoFundMes and otherwise are not protected. And even though I would not run off with your money, I would feel more comfortable getting donations where people know that it's protected. How much do you need? Like real numbers? I can't advise real numbers, unfortunately. I've been told do not discuss real numbers, but it is expensive. It's more than I can afford. So what do you guys think? Form a nonprofit. In order to form the nonprofit, it's $5,000 to form the nonprofit. And then so that part I would do like a GoFundMe for, because I think you can do, a goal, 5,000. My thing is, I feel like once we start collecting donations, I feel like it's going to take off. I feel like there's a lot of people that want to help. So I think with the GoFundMe, this is my plan, I think, is do the GoFundMe for $5,000, take that $5,000 from the GoFundMe, create the nonprofit corporation, the 501c4, and then all the donations are tax exempt. Once we get to a figure, it's less than what the lawsuit's going to cost, but once we get to a figure, the attorneys will start working on the case. And the case is twofold, so it's a state case and a federal case. They've discussed their plan of action. I'm confident in it. If I wasn't, I wouldn't be. How many small businesses are part of the lawsuit? So it would be representative of all small businesses, all non-essential businesses. It's to change the legislation to deem it unconstitutional. I like it. So do what you feel is best interest since it's in your name. I know it's in my name, but I also want your input. This is a huge decision. I feel like this is so much bigger than me. And, I'd love for you guys to have some input. Any other questions? So I think that would be a good idea. Create a GoFundMe for the only $5,000. Collect funds for anticipation of creating the nonprofit. Form the nonprofit corporation, the 501c4, and then the lawyer will create it. He said he can do it within a day. Create the 501c4. I would need to designate a president, vice president, and secretary treasurer, which I'm working on with people that I trust, near and dear, and then run with it. I feel like I honestly feel like we would get the first amount of money needed within 24 hours. I'm very confident in that. I feel like from the amount of people that have messaged me asking me to put, asking me where can I put my money, how can I help, I feel like those people will finally have a way to help. Could it be managed by the attorney to protect you from accusations? Just asking because I've never dealt with this. I don't believe so. I had talked to him. I had mentioned, setting up like a trust fund or something like that. But because we're looking to do this long term, it would make more sense to create a company. He would be like the CPA and file every year with the IRS for me and still help with everything. But it would be, since if this was a sprint, if we were just going to focus on reopening, it would be easier to do it that way, but since we're going to be ongoing, it would be better to form a nonprofit. What about places like Caterpillar and places like that? Who would be willing to donate? I've contacted like Freedom Works, and I have not heard back. If there was any other option than doing this, that would be awesome, because this is another huge responsibility. It's creating a nonprofit. It's like a company. It's like going into business with somebody. So even though I would not be paid from the nonprofit, and neither would anyone else, president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, it would be nonprofit. You don't get an income for it. So all of the donations would go towards the cause, which would be legal fees. All right, so I'm going to talk to my husband about it. I'm sure he'll be on board. He supports me in all of this, so. And then go from there. Can you tell I'm nervous? Yes, I'm nervous. I've never done a nonprofit or anything like that. And I'm one of those people that has to research. And I feel like I have to jump at this opportunity or we're not going to have it again. I do look stressed, I'm sorry. Do you have enough businesses that have approached you about donating that could possibly come up with the initial $5,000 so you wouldn't have to do a GoFundMe? I wouldn't want to ask any of the businesses that are already hurting. I wouldn't want to do that. I'm sure if we did, I'm sure there could be donors that could. I'll message you later with some other things to think about. Hang in there. Remember, it's a marathon. It is a marathon. Do you have the people in place to make it happen? And do you have the time commitment availability for the nonprofit? Yes. It's not. My vision for this nonprofit is not going to be like 20 million memberships or anything like that. This is so I know you've partnered with Reopen C, but that's a huge group across the state, and I think you'd get a lot of support. I'm still in that group and maybe could share for more donors. Okay. I mean, yeah, we're all working towards the same goal. And as far as I know, when I reached out to Audrey, because when I started the litigation with Reopen NC, sent out all the papers to everyone that was interested in the litigation, and when I left, I had said, please keep on forwarding me the information. I'm still going to work on everyone, for everyone. And she said, well, we told everyone that there wasn't a lawsuit and turned everyone away. So unfortunately, we're starting from scratch. Hey Stephanie, hey Whitney, you just hopping on. I was just talking about possibility of creating a 501c4 and how we would go about doing that, because I'm having difficulty getting the financial backing for this lawsuit from the businesses that are already struggling. So if we all could help, I think that would make this go a lot faster. Well, I can give you my email address. Okay, awesome. Yeah, I'm all about delegating. We all have our network and can utilize it. Absolutely. All right, so I'm going to talk to my husband and just make sure that he's on board with this, and then if so, then we can move forward. It would be collecting donations through GoFundMe for the first $5,000, which would pay for the attorney fee to create the nonprofit, the 501c4, getting the president, vice president, secretary, treasurer involved, bylaws, registering it with the IRS, etc., and then collecting donations through the nonprofit, which is tax exempt. All right. Does anyone have any other questions? I can continue answering questions too after I sign off. I just feel like if I don't do this, then we're gonna lose this, because there's no way. I mean, I'm trying, but it's really hard to get companies that are already struggling, that their doors have been closed for 8 weeks, to now throw money towards a lawsuit. I mean, that's the biggest thing. So I feel like if people that are still working, like my husband's still working, so my family can donate to this cause and save these businesses, I feel like that would be a lot better. People are still asking me if I have a GoFundMe. I'm happy to post to send people to the business GoFundMe. Okay. Do you have anyone else that has a nonprofit you can use? I don't know anyone else that has a nonprofit that I could use. And when you have a nonprofit, so I learned today, so when you have a nonprofit, you have to create bylaws, and in the bylaws, the only way you can spend money is if the bylaws allow it. So you create your bylaws, and the bylaws state, for legal fees associated with reopening the state, or for legal fees associated with, whatever it is, we have to decide the bylaws, how the money is going to be appropriated. So you can only write checks for things that are representative of the bylaws. So if someone else has a nonprofit, if their bylaws don't state in alignment with what our mission is, they wouldn't be able to cut a check. Does that make sense? It would be quicker to establish a church. Well, he said he can establish the nonprofit within a day. He said, I just need to figure out who I want as vice president and secretary treasurer. Yes, the tattoo artist that was arrested has gotten a lot of offers. I'm sure he wants to get involved. I actually did a podcast with Jax. From like 7 to 8 tonight. We did a podcast with Reopen America with Chris Nelson. So we'll do a post, and you'll be able to see our podcast. It was a good podcast. There will be many opportunities to challenge more infringements on our liberties when this is over. I think the nonprofit is a good idea. I do too. And we're going to grow as time goes on. And I feel like it'll be an asset for North Carolina to have a nonprofit in their pocket, like an army of people that are constantly watching the legislation and whatnot. Hey Chris, you're just hopping on? I'll go over it one more time and then I'll hop off. So we were just talking about how difficult it is to get companies that are already doing, just a percentage of their business, or they're closed, to go in for a lawsuit. So I spoke with an attorney today about creating a 501c4, which would be a legal nonprofit, tax exempt, and the cost of that is $5,000. So I would have to create like a GoFundMe to crowdfund for the cost of the nonprofit, and then cut it off at the $5,000. Use that $5,000 to go towards, and I'll show you guys receipts. I have no problem with that. To go towards creating the nonprofit, and then we can collect donations from everybody for this lawsuit. So. All right, guys, thank you so much for your input. You guys rock. I'll talk to you later.